AlbertaPodcastNetwork.com. It's a Conspiracy is a proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network. Andrew will be featured on fellow Alberta Podcast Network show, Mess Hall Podcast, with our friend Avery. It's up now with a slew of other fine programming at AlbertaPodcastNetwork.com.
It's a conspiracy!
It's the Lethbridge Special, recorded at the Owl Acoustic Lounge in Lethbridge, Alberta. Here's Andy.
So this is the Lesbian Special. Yay. So welcome back, everyone, to It's Conspiracy. This is the podcast where we discuss selected conspiracy theories, alternative accounts, legends, myths, and more. I'm your host, Andrew, and I don't claim to be an expert on anything we're going to discuss today. And if you'd like to learn anything more about what we were going to chat about today, then check out our episode description for links and resources, and we'll stick them in there. So today I'm joined by two dear friends, Steve Foord and Devin Gergel. Hello. And these two lesbians and I will discuss a few theories, and we'll basically just interject as we see fit. I was talking to Steve about how the basic idea is we present something, and then whoever else is talking about it kind of tries to derail a little bit, which is perfectly fine. Perfect. Yeah, that's so great. Wherever this should go is perfectly fine. Now, before we do that, I'd like to announce that we are now officially part of the Alberta Podcast Network. We are powered by ATB, and this is the first official one, and it's really exciting. So, being part of the Get Along gang is really cool. Feels good. You can check out all of our episodes at itsaconspiracypodcast.com, where there are links to our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, email, and Patreon, and that is the patreon.com/itsconspiracy. So I'm going to start this off here. Have either of you two ever heard of the Lost Lemon Mine?
Well, it sounds delicious.
It sounds delicious.
I definitely have not.
Lemon, okay.
It's a place I want to find.
Yeah, no, that's the theory I'm going to talk about. Now, I'll just give you the title of it. Now, Steve, what was the theory that you were going to talk about here?
I would like to discuss a little theory involving the local honky-tonk legend, Shaela Miller, being part of a MK Ultra conspiracy.
Oh, yeah, that is so... I can't wait to hear this.
Shocking stuff.
And Devin, what was the theory that you wanted to talk about?
I'd like to talk about the vanishing village of, and I'm going to say this wrong, but I believe it's the Anjikuni Lake tribe. It's in the not northern Alberta, but northern Canadian tribe that kind of vanished, and nobody knows what's going on with it.
Sweet. Okay, cool. Well, I'll get this started here. So the Lost Lemon Mine. Now, do you guys like gold?
No.
Okay.
Every once in a while.
Do you guys like beheadings?
Well, yeah.
That's a whole different story. Yeah.
Do you guys like lemons?
I feel like those are really connected.
They're usually together, yeah. Lemons and beheadings.
They usually go together somewhere.
One way or the other. In 1870, two prospectors from the Tobacco Plains in northern Montana came searching for gold along the North Saskatchewan River. And these two guys, they had amazing names, Frank Lemon and Black Jack. So, yeah, I know.
It's a different time.
So they decided to head to the Rocky Mountains for gold. And it is said that somewhere in the Crow's Nest Pass, which is not very far from where we are right now, so that's about an hour and a half.
15?
Yeah, hour 15.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the Crow's Nest Pass, it's a huge area, they were panning in a section where three mountain streams were connecting. And they were like, hey, that looks like a bunch of gold in the water there, so they picked the one stream that had the most gold, and they followed it up. Not far from the stream, they found a jagged rocky cliff with thick streaks of solid gold. And oddly, rather than celebrate, Lemon and Blackjack got into a heated argument, and they were suddenly like, are we going to set up camp here? Are we going to come back later with more supplies? The weather's not really cooperating with us right now. What are we going to do? And not the kind of thing that you would get super, super amped up about when you made this kind of discovery, but they just couldn't help themselves. Blackjack eventually had enough of the argument, set up his camp, and went to sleep. And while he was sleeping, Lemon was overcome with rage, picked up his axe, and chopped off Blackjack's head.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, just chopped his head right off, yeah.
Friends for life.
Yeah, I know. So not BFFs, yeah. And that's how serious he was about this argument. Yeah, just not into it. So he then built an enormous fire and paced back and forth until
as you would,
as one would, yeah. just held out his gun and he's toying around, and he stood there walking around until the sun came up, and with this decapitated buddy of his. Now, unbeknownst to Lemon, there was a hunting party of Stony Indians. And that's the term. That feels a little insensitive to say, but that's the yeah. So the Stony Indians were camping close by, saw the whole thing unfold. They knew of this gold, and they had kept it a secret for years because they were like, "That's the cursed gold. That's the crazy gold. That's where
properties."
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're gonna go nuts if you get in there. They reported the murder back to their chief, and their chief is like, "Don't you tell anybody about this, and don't tell anybody about the gold, and just shut up. Just let's stop." Yeah, everybody's gonna come up here and go crazy and kill each other. So Lemon left Blackjack's body and the gold, and he decided to return to Montana. And he claimed that as he got further and further away from the source of the gold, that his mind began to clear up, and this murderous spirit was no longer in him. Initially, he tried to blame the Blackfoot people in the area for the murder, but upon seeing a priest, he ended up confessing everything.
Well, he's forgiven.
Yeah, it's fine. He's like, hey, I did it.
Yeah,
and then he made amends by promising Blackjack's family that he would retrieve the body and give it a proper burial. So it's like, sorry I cut off his head, but I'm gonna go.
But I'm past it.
We're over it. It's living in the past.
You guys have no idea how hard this has been on me, but thankfully I'm over it.
Let's go deep.
Yeah, and just by burying it, it's unreal. Oh, those are the days. Yeah. So there was a man named Scott McDougall, and Scott McDougall was sent to retrieve the body and mark the location of the gold. So
he didn't even do it himself then.
Yeah, well, Lemon was like they threw him in jail for like a month or something. Like they're like, until you pay for his funeral, you have to stay in jail. And so McDougall was sent to retrieve the body, mark the location of the gold, and he did return to High River or somewhere nearby, maybe Calgary, might have been Lethbridge, with Blackjack's body. But oddly, without a history of alcoholism, he suddenly just had like a binge and died of an alcohol overdose the evening he came back with the body. So he wasn't able to tell anyone where the gold was. And he's actually the only other person who could concretely say like, yeah, I know where the gold is. Some people have claimed that the Stony chief put the curse on the gold after seeing these men, what these men went through. But either way, something sinister seemed to happen to anyone who stumbled across the gold. One man named Lafayette French claimed to have found the gold and wrote home to his family and friends to tell them. He's like, I know where it is. I know where the location. I got some of the gold with me. And in a sad twist, the hotel he was staying in burnt to the ground, and all of the evidence of any discovery was lost, along with friends dying in the fire that he was with. So, yeah, him and his buddies all got to die in a fire. As recently as 1988, there have been accounts of people claiming to have found the gold and then dying under really mysterious circumstances. So Lemon Lemon himself tried to return with prospectors to the grounds, but claimed every time he would like get close that he would become confused. He would be inhabited by a spirit of murder, and then he was never able to lead anyone anywhere to anything convincing. And now if you go to the Crow's Nest Pass, it's a provincial park. It's the Lost Lemon Mine Campground. And you can go and stay there and
make s'mores.
Yeah, just get some gold and cut off everybody's heads. Yeah. Just family time. That's fun.
I'm never going to think about chopping wood in the Crow's Nest Pass.
The same way, yeah.
Yeah, man.
It's going to be a lot more fun.
You never know when that ghost is going to come on you, and you'll think you're chopping wood, but that's my family. Oh no. Geologists have proposed theories based on science. So I know, if you believe in science. And journalists have written first-hand accounts, and witnesses have drawn crude maps. That's a nice image. But to this day, the lost lemon mine has never been rediscovered. So it's still out there somewhere, and you can go check it out. Yeah.
You can camp there.
You can go camp there. Yeah, that's fun.
Become murderous, ravenous.
Go crazy and kill everybody.
That's so interesting.
what are we drinking?
So we have ourselves some beers from the Coulee Brew Co. And which one do we want to try first? We got 2 growlers.
Yeah, so we've got a dry island IPA.
A dry island IPA. Oh.
As opposed to a wet island IPA.
There we go.
Much different. I don't know.
But yeah, no, I got to say right off the top, this is a local brewery.
They are, yeah.
Very, very cool. So the Coulee Brew Co. and this is their dry island IPA. Well, there we go. Cheers.
Cheers. It's not bad, I guess, for a beer.
Oh, it's good. Yeah. Actually, that's really good. Why do they call it a growler? Like, does it have a bear reference? Like, is there a...
Bears are just rabid alcoholics.
That is, yeah. And growler's such a cool name, too. It sounds like a great, like, the growler.
Oh, excuse me, sir, can I get 2 growlers?
That is fantastic. And thank you to the Coulee Brew Co. That's a handsome growler,
nice.
too.
Yeah, they look nice, too.
Nice set of jugs they got there. Yeah, good stuff. Oh, actually, sorry. Do you want to read a little bit of information about the...
continues Lethbridge's history of brewing. Really? Crafted from the waters of our glacial past, Coulee Brew Co. is proud to create quality beers with respect for our community's brewing history, a love of the craft, and a pride for all things Southern Albertan. And like the coulees that surround us, we are leaving a big impression.
You're like a living Apple rights agreement, kind of.
Yeah,
so,
this is gold.
All that's in front of me is a 4-vessel 30 BBL system.
Oh.
I heard that's top of the line.
They're nice.
BBL, those are the best ones.
There's a 7 BBL pilot system.
Only, yeah, wow.
Okay.
And this, I'm assuming, is their building because it's a 16,000 square foot facility, including a full-size brew pub.
Oh, nice.
Which is actually, it's really nice in there. Yeah, 16,000 square foot facility, and it is nice inside.
Nice.
And you can see the brewery from the restaurant. You can see through the windows, and it's all open.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It is a very nice place.
Very nice.
Very nice.
It's a nice. All right. Well, Steve, do you feel like talking about some MK Ultra shenanigans? Yeah.
Are we trying this?
Well, we should probably try this too.
We might as well.
This is more up my alley.
yeah, they're. Oh, there we go.
Cheers. Cheers. Yum. Mm-hmm. Yum.
Should we talk about
We might as well. Yeah.
Did you forget what you were gonna say? Did you forget I was being played?
This is a big deal.
Let's preface it.
Yeah.
Preface it. Like I mentioned before, local legend, Queen of Honky Tonk, Shaela Miller from Lethbridge. I can't say for sure, but there's a pretty good chance that she's involved in a large U.S. government conspiracy.
Okay.
Because borders don't matter to these people.
No, not at all.
But she is part of the MK Ultra program. I know. It's hard.
It's hard to swallow.
You don't want to believe it.
I
don't want to believe it.
No, you don't want to. No, it's.
But I read in from a very reputable source. I don't know if you've heard of Godlike Productions.
Godlike Productions.
Godlike Productions, but they have
good name.
They have a forum, and these guys seem like they really know their stuff.
Yeah,
like
up to date. A forum.
Yeah, a forum post connecting our local Shaela Miller to an MK Ultra conspiracy. Apparently, there's this couple, Mark Phillips and Kathy O'Brien. They were part of this MK Ultra mind control program, and they would mind control people to do devious things, including this one, Shaela Miller.
Not our friend, but like
not our friend.
Someone named Shaela Miller.
Someone named Shaela Miller.
I mean, how many could there be though?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, there's not a lot of Millers.
Let's not jump the gun.
When was the last time you read a phone book?
Yeah.
So there. Shaela Miller's. This is again from a reputable source. Anonymous coward. Godlike Productions.
Yes. This is sounding. Yeah.
Bizarre coincidence? ? Shaela Miller, the girl reported to be mind controlled by Mark Phillips and Kathy O'Brien. Ellipses. Shaela Miller's friend says Shaela told them that her first sexual experience was a threesome with a couple who the friend believes to be Mark and Kathy. When I Googled her, a music group called the Shaela Miller Threesome came up in the search. WTF? ? Look. And then I follow a link. And who does that link take me to? One Shaela Miller.
Look at that.
Confirmed.
Facebook.
It's uncanny.
Our friend Shaela Miller, and it's her birthday today.
And happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Shaela. Yeah, we do. Yeah, you're great. We're sorry if we're kind of besmirching you here with this, but
this is not besmirching. We love you, but this is hilarious.
It's pretty crazy.
I can't believe this. Okay, sorry. So
How many
stupid skeptics
posts are on here about it?
Just a few dozen.
a few dozen
No,
posts.
I don't think it's that bad. It's only like 5.
Well, can you read this one here that's like giving the evidence here? Yeah.
Once again from Anonymous Coward.
That's the guy's username.
Yeah, username Anonymous Coward. You don't know there is no connection. As a fact, I noticed her online as well. There could be a programming connection. Shit. It's a singer with the exact same name who has a song. Well, you're incorrect.
With a band.
Threesome. It's a band. Like Jesus. If you're okay. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, you look at it. One of the 3 sides is lying. The family, the daughter, M and K, or some combo in tandem. The whole thing is likely being done to trigger real survivors for something. Since nobody gives a ellipses about us.
Oh.
That's a harsh use of an ellipses.
Yeah, I appreciate that though. Watching your language.
I like a nice.
It's a family forum.
Yeah. Especially with convergence of world events occurring simultaneously.
Oh man.
What is it?
Oh,
okay,
man.
world events happening simultaneously. Come on.
That's an opinion though. Let's not. We gotta hold on to that.
This is gonna be fact for now.
Let's just stick to the facts.
Yes. Let's keep to the facts here. Keep it on point.
Oh, that's priceless.
You can claim that anyone is like an MK Ultra controlled like slave. You can literally say it happened to our friend here. It can happen like
it's like the whole 7 degrees.
Like you're totally detached from who these people are. We know Shaela. Shaila's a goddamn sweetheart. It's not like stuff. I'm trying not to swear. Am I allowed to swear?
You can swear, man.
Fuck yeah.
Swear away. Golly. Gee. Dad gum.
But you can apply it to anyone because we're also detached now. It's like you can find any loose connection that you want and like make it into a conspiracy, and you can start posting it and stuff with like ominous music and slow stuff, and people are gonna believe it. And how much of this stuff is that way? I don't know.
Yeah, you just gotta Google somebody's name and you see all the stuff that comes up. It's crazy.
Insane. Just for me, I'm on board with some conspiracy theory stuff, and a lot of it I just think is just utter bullshit.
Yeah.
Like so much of it. And this is like a little like glimmer of like bullshit I can prove in the conspiracy community.
We've known her for years. Like you could pop onto this forum and be like, I know her. None of this is true. What year is this from? I have to ask about that.
That is this year.
2019.
They're still talking about it.
What? And productions of what? Like what the?
The truth. Andrew.
I guess they produced the truth.
Have you not like delved into Godlike Productions?
I know, man. Wow. Look at this.
It's gotta be.
Climate change is the sun killing off white people for not having melanin.
I knew it.
Wow. Wait a minute.
Oh man, how is this not the cornerstone of
Finally,
everybody's
someone is
life?
looking out for me.
Yeah.
A nice ginger boy who just wants to.
Man, that one hits so close to home for you.
Like some money I spread.
That's amazing.
On sunscreen.
I like how the next entry is best movie comedies. covering all the
Dunstan's
entertainment.
boyfriend is one ugly
one of the
motherfucker.
anonymous cowards.
That's
amazing.
wow. So yeah. Anyways, I gotta find out what do Godlike Productions do. Not to color our conversation here, but no, sorry. Okay, there's one more subject here that has to be addressed.
Dunstan, please.
Sorry, we just stumbled upon a rabbit hole of beauty and wonder. So another post on here. Kristen Dunst's boyfriend is one ugly motherfucker.
Oh,
discuss.
ATB.com/The Branch. Creative minds need creative banking. That's why ATB created The Branch for arts and culture. A branch that understands artists don't live by the rules or standard pay schedules, so you can be creative and not have to worry about your checking account. It's a creative space for creative types, and just one more way ATB will always be more than a bank.
I'm gonna have. So we've got a Basil Lager from the Coulee Brew Co.
What's the name of this one?
And I'm excited
I
here.
want to say Summer Isle, Basil.
Yeah, no, man, that is this Basil Lager. Basil.
I say Basil.
Is it lager? Am I saying that? It's supposed to be lager, right?
It's lager.
Lager?
Isn't it a lager?
All I see is Summer Basil on it.
A Basil Lager?
Basil.
Now I'm
Lager.
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 Let me just make sure I got this correct here. Summer Basil. Lager, and it's pretty tasty. It's really nice.
If
It's
you were
summery.
forced to pick one, if your hand was forced between the two.
I like the dry Island IPA, but I'm a hoppy guy, so I'm kind of an
Likes the
IPA. Yeah, the
It's on
hops
record,
the hops
folks.
are nice. Yeah,
Andrew Scott likes the hops.
I like the hops. I had a friend. I've talked about this on the podcast before. He had a tiny frog, and he's like, and his name is Hops, and he was about to say and I'm like, you don't need to explain this. Like, I get it. Shut up. Like, give me a fucking bit of a... Give
me a little credit, man.
Give me credit here. Seriously.
I can figure it out.
His name is Hops. He's a frog. Like, oh, got it. I got
Sounds
it.
like a dad joke of insult.
It was just like, he's such a
And he's been
backhand
waiting
thing.
all day.
And he was like,
After you
my
name that
frog.
thing, it's like, oh, wait till I tell Andrew.
Just went out to buy it specifically for that purpose.
But that is tasty, and there's a lot of basil and basil. There's a lot of basil in there. You can taste the basil.
Yeah, it's got a distinct bizzle to it.
Yeah, we got another theory to talk about here. We've got a computer. Would you
No.
like to compute?
I'm fine with this.
You're fine with this.
I mean, I'm not gonna,
I'm just
verbatim
gonna-
it. I'm just gonna kind of overview.
Here he comes.
Yeah. Basically, there's a fishing village in northern Canada, where it was like a well-known tribe. People knew where it was. People would visit there, hunters, gatherers, and of the sorts. And where we're talking 1930s-ish is when this took place. And basically what happened was this trapper guy was out and about, and he would stop in the village every now and then. One day he stopped there, and the entire village seemed to be immediately vacated. There was no sign of anybody living there. I mean, there were signs of people living there. There was still food cooking on the pots. All of their hunting weapons and everything were still there. No trace of life. All the people were gone, and the bodies from the gravesite were removed as well. So apparently they sent out like the RCMP to investigate.
Sorry, just a sec. So the graves were
Were empty as well. Yeah. So that's bewildering to say the least, right? Because I mean, that you don't really hear desecration of graves.
Yeah, when you pack up and leave town, you usually
Yeah, exactly.
the people in the graves they stay.
I want to hear like the mobster things like, hey, graves go empty all the time.
Right. All of them. But then I guess the RCMP.
We're doing that Italian hand
the
sign.
hand sign.
Hey,
Come on.
We can do.
But apparently, like the RCMP were sent out, and they seen a couple of trappers that were out in the same vicinity, same time period, and basically they said that they seen some strange lights in the sky, and that some really weird stuff was going on. And
It's messed.
yeah, I mean, lots of people will come out and say it's fake and stuff like that, but a lot of people believe it's real. So
The theory is that
well, I mean, there's lots of theories. Aliens, obviously, being one.
strange lights in the sky
Strange lights in the sky. That's a classic, right?
in northern Canada.
Northern Canada, which is like
Singing the
it's pretty
hymns.
huge up there. It's pretty huge up there.
Not to get into opinion time, but are there often strange lights in the sky in northern Canada? Just out of curiosity, like if you
Yeah,
want
I think
to
those are
explain-
like hotspots for sure. Like Yukon's a huge one. We could get a little crazy with the Northern Lights if you want to.
I'd love to, because that.
Okay, well, kind of forgetting the fishing village then. Apparently, Northern Lights.
No, but like what I mean is that people's. The night everyone went missing from the fishing
Yes,
village,
yes.
people saw weird things in the sky.
Yeah, well, they know what Northern Lights are, and they said it specifically wasn't.
Yeah.
Northern Lights.
It wasn't Northern Lights.
Wasn't Northern
That's
Lights.
what I'm trying to
Yeah,
eliminate
yeah,
from
for
this.
sure.
So they saw something very strange in the sky that wasn't Northern Lights.
Yeah, I mean, I think the descriptions of it went in. I mean, like, this is from memory, so it could be totally wrong, but it was like blue pulsating, giant orbs, stuff like that.
Nice.
Classic stuff, right? But yeah, it's pretty interesting that a whole village could go missing and.
Including graves.
Including
being
graves.
emptied.
Yeah. And I mean, the freaky thing is like going there, right? Going there and seeing like everything. I mean, obviously, back then you wouldn't leave your place of habitat without your important tools, right? Like you wouldn't leave without your spears and your hunting tools and your simple cooking pots and stuff like that. So it's pretty interesting.
We're talking about the Arctic too, like where there is
nobody.
There's nobody and there's nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
Like
you gotta be a hardy person to live there, right?
Nowhere to hide.
And that's just it. We talked about with Richard Inman actually. We talked about the the Mad Trapper of the Rat River.
Oh, nice.
And it was like just covering like 100 kilometers with like the supplies in a backpack you had was like, it's just on foot, everything you need. It's crazy. So for an entire village to just disappear overnight.
Yeah, well, that's usually the weird thing about any of those cases, right? It's always like the amount of distance traveled, or some weird stuff that doesn't seem possible.
Yeah,
and it always factors into the story somewhere.
And the North is full of that kind of stuff.
Full of it. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, full of it.
Yeah.
Super interesting.
I got a buddy who told me that the thing he likes about the stories of the Dene and the Inuit and the whole like all the tribes of the North is like they've got these folk tales that aren't like pop songs. It's not like
doesn't
horrible.
pan
it's
out.
horrible and
It's like
sad
the
and
Black Mirror of its time.
it's the Black Mirror of its time. It really is, and but that's the truth, man. I mean, that's
part of our heritage.
some real bad stuff happened up there, and unfortunately, the further north you go, the worse it gets,
And weirder, too.
Yeah, and the weirder
Yeah.
it is, so weird. Like,
Could be there's the seclusion, or it could there could be something to it. Who knows?
well, and like what would drive, like it just naturally speaking, like outside of any kind of aliens or whatever, what would drive a village to be like, we got to pack up and leave
Immediately.
without anything,
Right, exactly.
and we got to dig up like all
Yeah.
the dead people.
Yeah, like what the f? That's
Yeah.
messed up.
Or did all
24 hours of night.
yeah.
bad patch of acid.
Like, just everyone drops acid. It's like that night. That's like the entire day is night, and you're all a little bit fucked up. It's like, we gotta go take the dead bodies. We're fucked. This
We're
is
out.
stupid.
Yeah.
It's night all day.
But like same type of thing, right? Like people middle of the night, freezing cold outside. Like you've heard of the Dyatlov Pass.
I have, yeah.
So it's the same type of thing. Like people, abandon camp immediately, and like obviously to their detriment, to their health and detriment, they all died.
Yeah.
But like something jittered them enough to vanish. So it's not like there was a trail that they could follow and the trail went cold. It was basically they went there and it appeared as if people were still living there, but there was 0 people there.
There was 0
they
people.
just fucking left.
Just left,
Like,
and who knows how? Yeah, something else.
how many?
Well, an entire fishing village, so our hunting little gather village. Not like a ton of people, but I think we're
6 people.
Population of 25 or so.
Oof.
What 25?
That's not
I've been to some parties where it's like
Yeah.
where you can convince everyone to go. It's like, just leave your belongings. We're going.
But could you
right now.
That's true.
could you
too.
convince someone
We've had
to
a
dig
few
up their
of
dead
those.
relatives and be like, we're not just leaving,
It was a different time, Andrew.
we're also
Oh, that's true too.
Family values mattered.
I guess so.
But it's it's just so strange though. It's interesting.
Cared about the family. If you're leaving, you're bringing your dead body of your grandmother with you.
No one
Sucks to have a big family.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, oh.
Yikes.
I guess it's opinion time. Here we go.
So we just take turns on this. Steve, do you remember what our first theory was tonight?
Mine of lemons. I believe it was a mine full of lemons.
It was a mindful of lemons.
And everyone seeked it out, for they enjoyed the citrus
Of death.
of lemon.
Yeah, it is. Wouldn't that be sad if the guy was like,
It was just like a certain way the water was glistening down a creek
Yeah.
or something. Yeah, something
It's-
so benign.
like again, it's the classic like we thought it was lemons and it was actually like turnips and you're like, oh no.
The turnip mine.
Yeah, the turnip.
And
Damn it.
another
Third one
turnip
this week.
mine.
Now, Devin, do you remember what our second theory was?
That was the MK Ultra Shaela Miller threesome.
Shaler.
Shaela Miller threesome.
Miller.
Shaela Miller was a MK Ultra.
How would you say that?
Bullshit.
Participant. I guess you could
Well,
say
no, but, like, what's-
unwilling participant.
She got involved with she got into some kinky stuff with some MK
Due
Ultra
to brainwashing. I would.
Yeah.
That's where the MK comes into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's probably seen the Stranger Things. That's kind of loosely what that show is based off of, right? MK Ultra.
MK Ultra, yeah.
And mind control and like telekinesis and mind experiments and
Man.
And,
all
like,
that kind of fun stuff.
back
Montauk and all of that.
Back when like secret programs had like a fucking kick-ass name.
A way to 'em.
MK Ultra.
MK Ultra, how great
That's
is that
pretty
name?
awesome.
Great fucking name for
good
like a
strain of weed,
conspiracy
too.
thing.
Yeah.
Like all this other bullshit. Like,
Well, it's back in the day when you couldn't prove anything. So I think that was the big alert,
It is,
right?
yeah.
That's what we're talking about. So just like give me some names of like some secret government programs that you know.
Project Paperclip.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Paperclip.
See, kind of lame. Kind of if
Yeah.
that's a band, I don't want to listen to Project Paperclip. I'm like,
How about the Unicorns of NK?
I have no idea what that is.
Sounds kind of emo.
That's a real thing. That's
Unicorns of
But and that actually, you're right, because like climate change denial doesn't have the same ring as MK Ultra. Like MK Ultra sounds like a Depeche Mode album.
Yeah,
you know?
totally. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
That's like well, everything's in the name, right? Like the whole video game industry with like, you know, loot boxes and stuff like that, and EA makes billions of dollars off of it, and they come out and they're like, no, it's surprise mechanics. It's all in the name. Surprise mechanics.
That's funny.
Okay, and our third theory was, did everyone disappear from the village of...
The village give us two shades.
I remember what it was.
Anjikuni. I think that's how you say that. Anjikuni.
Anjikuni.
Anjikuni. Well,
Anjikuni.
if this podcast is known for anything, it's for accurate pronunciation.
Yeah.
So
Journalism.
Yeah,
On point journalism.
just
Straight to the facts.
Stick to the straight. Yeah,
Stay in the pocket.
Steve, do you think that there's like any credibility to this Lost Lemon mine? Does that feel like something that you're
like if that was going to be found,
if
that was going to be found, it's probably like Ming's and Coaldale is probably where the mine is. It's like it's my only guess, unless it's like unless somebody is like doing.
Shout out to Ming's, delicious.
Shout out to Ming's buffet.
Yeah.
Like unless somebody is doing a really good job of hiding this, and I love my area, but like I don't think anyone here is like just secretly hiding like a giant gold mine. I think like if that was a thing, it's stories.
But it's not supposed to be hiding though. It's supposed to be out in the open, is it not?
The other thing is,
but if it was out in the open, don't you think like with everything that we have right now, that they wouldn't stumble across a giant fucking gold mine?
Well, no, but that's just it. It's the gold. The weird thing about gold is that a streak of gold worth billions could be like people are thinking of like a
shiny side of a mountain,
huge side of a mountain, and it's actually it could be like 2 feet.
But still,
like that has to be kept in perspective. Like it could even 1 foot.
Yeah, do you have this Google thing? Have you checked it out?
Yeah,
because it's like I'm thinking like if that was a thing, no matter like even if it was like a small sized cave, a little thing, by now, don't you think somebody would have found that?
Yeah,
really.
And there's a
they're hiding it. So
it's like campground name,
or they're hiding it,
or it just is a bullshit story.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Well,
the guy he didn't like the guy and wanted to kill him.
And sometimes you just got to chop off a guy's head and blame it on a lemon mine.
That's a classic example of like the Wild West. But it's so like people hear that and they're like, oh yeah. So maybe a guy chopped off somebody else's head.
Yeah.
But maybe that didn't have to have a famous gold mine attached to it.
Exactly.
It just gets added, peppered in a little bit.
You know.
You got to season that steak.
You got to season it.
You want the story to last or not? Throw in a gold mine. We're talking.
And people probably got their heads cut off like all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
my big thing is like the proximity
casually
with it. Like how as soon as or it's just like the proximity thing. Like as soon as you get to a certain distance, that's when you turn ravenous with rage. That seems like that would still be a thing. You know what I mean?
I got a thought about that. Okay, so what are your feelings on that? Like, what are you?
Well, that's just the interesting thing to me. Like, if it's that did happen, and that he did turn murderous with rage or whatever, who knows what it could be? It could be like, you know, something going on with like the flora in the area or something, or some trippy.
Florian, and I was like, yeah, no, fair.
Flora, yeah. Like the plants. It could be something with the plants in the area, or you know, a mixture of who knows, right? But it could be emitting some crazy substance and makes people go crazy. And
it's the wind. The wind drives everybody crazy, and that movie sucks.
We live in Lethbridge.
Yeah, I know. And The Happening, which is a real shitty movie. But
it's the wind.
It's the wind in the end. And that's why Marky Mark like kills everybody. Yeah. And
okay, I'm gonna have to watch that.
And you think that would be the worst his career got, and then he went and did Transformers like 4 or whatever it was.
Yeah, that was a real bad film.
Yeah. You kind of nailed down what my thought was on it, was that the Stoney Indians, and again, I feel really weird saying about that, but I looked it up and that's the name of the group, and I'm like, ugh. That's one of the things in right now is like the big movement is like, let's move away from the Indians word, but the Stoney Indians, these are the people who, when the Crow's Nest Pass was being sort of colonized, I guess we'll call it. People
is that word?
Yeah, I know, it's coming in. People were moving there, and this was the native group. These were the indigenous people that were like, you should not put your town there because this mountain moves around.
Yeah.
And the settlers, all these European guys are like, mountains don't move. you're being ridiculous. And this is the same group of indigenous people that were like, no, that mountain like moves around at night. Yeah. It's alive. It moves around. It is Turtle Mountain, but it's the Frank Slide. So the town of Frank, a big chunk of the Turtle Mountain broke off and buried the town in like a straight up avalanche that's like never ever happened.
Damn, that's like one of those like.
It's wild.
When you think about that, it's like, yeah, that it moves, and it's like just like this, like epic mistranslation of like, no, it moves. Like,
yeah, and they're like, we told you, we told you, yeah, and so that's the whole thing. Like 90 million tons, and then there was so many rocks that it was moving like water, like it jumped over sections of the train. And if you go there now, it's like, it's wild. It's so
it's a crazy thing to see. For sure.
It is a crazy thing to see. It's
nuts.
It is nuts, and there's a lot of. It is bananas. I mean, we got to watch our language.
I was trying to.
It's a little screwy.
Get you to repeat.
It's apples. That's a straight up mango story. But and then so this same native group was like, everyone who goes near that streak of gold goes crazy and kills people.
So it's like, why would they lie about something and not the other, or not even lie?
But then that's what I'm saying. I'm like, so maybe because it's not super far fetched to be like, there's a sour gas well. Right, there's a weird. That's pretty good. There's straight up hot springs that will like if you get too much sulfur in your brain, you're just gonna die on the spot.
Yeah,
like
totally.
You know,
what a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive. Yeah, you're like hey, I dug a hole in the ground and like I smelled rotten eggs and then I had a heart attack and died
immediately.
And that could be the story of the Lost Lemon Mine, and that's why people are like the one guy that like brought the body back, and he's like they're like, oh, he drank himself to death. It's like maybe he didn't. Maybe he just like inhaled a bunch of this shit, had like one beer and died.
Totally. It was just chemical reaction.
Yeah, but I don't really believe the whole like, oh, I got close and my brain, I got taken over by the spirits of the murderers.
The beauty of that glow.
The beauty of the Rocky Mountains.
But I mean, back then too, they wouldn't know, right? You wouldn't know it wasn't a demon.
And that's the classic example of like these sort of native stories, like the coming to life and like science kind of explains I hate putting it that way, but like science explains the how
to the why
to the why so they're like oh, that mountain runs around at night. It's like it didn't actually, but it actually they saw it move, and they're like, oof, let's not build a town there. And just like that, they're like, you probably shouldn't go near that gold because there's something weird going on.
Yeah, totally.
So maybe not demons, but maybe
it's also like, there's so many of those like Native American myths where there's something to it. Like you said, it's just a lost in translation kind of thing.
I don't remember who had subject number 2. Now, Devin.
Al.
Okay. So Al told us that Shaela Miller is actually an MK Ultra
unwilling participant.
Yeah. And may have been involved in some kind of weird, like...
Yeah, threesome.
Yeah, with...
Kathy O'Brien and Mark Newman, was it?
Sounds like a Newman, but I don't think it is. It's
Newman.
Kathy O'Brien and drum roll.
And Paul Holden.
The bass player? Mark Phillips.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, where are we going with it?
So, well, do you lend any credibility to our friend Shaela being an MK Ultra?
No, that's the best too, because it's outrageous. I mean, we've known her for a long time, and
yeah.
This is Lethbridge, Alberta. Like, you know what I mean?
This kind of thing it doesn't happen.
But these are the ones where this is the problem with like the internet and jumping on the bandwagons and just who knows? But that is like such a stretch that it's just
ridiculous.
And I mean, there's no substance to it. It's just.
So, Steve, do you think Shaela is like actually an MK Ultra?
Of course she's not. It's all stupid. The whole thing is stupid. It's the whole point. It's stupid. We know this person. These people don't know her at all. Don't know any. And how many times is that happening in other conspiracy things? It's bullshit.
Crazy amounts.
It is
all the time. But you can't really fact check it too quickly.
Well, it's really easy to just write stuff from behind a keyboard and
exactly
zero repercussions.
And
you can literally say whatever you want.
Their names are Anonymous
Coward. Anonymous Coward. That says a lot.
That is the best.
Like that's the default name that it goes to.
Name,
What if his name is actually?
Should we feel shitty?
I am a coward like my father before me and my father before him.
My grandfather was a coward. I am happy to carry on that name.
It's Anonymous the Third. Thank you very much.
And the second theory, sorry, the third theory we had was I gotta get this one more time. The disappearing village. Yep. And what was the name of it?
Village of Anjikuni Lake.
Okay, not to get into potty talk, but this one's a real noodle scratcher. Because why?
That was out of line.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
You know what? Fuck you.
I'm gonna have to step away.
I don't mean to trigger anybody. It's weird, and it immediately. I love 30 Days of Night. That's the first thing that popped into my head.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Absolutely.
But it's like the graves are empty, the village is empty.
Holy
Clearly,
shit, it's a true story.
Clearly, everyone. Yeah, all the dead bodies came to life and murdered everybody.
It's always interesting when it's in a place where it's like, you know, it's hard to get to. Verification's damn near impossible. So it's like, who knows really, right?
If anyone, I don't know if you guys ever tried this before. One of the first things I did when I was in Whitehorse a couple years ago was, it was summertime. I tried to dig in the ground. I'm like, what does permafrost feel like? And permafrost is a weird thing where you don't have to go very far in the ground before basically the dirt is frozen solid.
Oh, yeah,
like
it's a rock.
And so burying anyone is a monumental effort. And digging up dead people like that would take, and we're talking, even though there's 25 people in the village, you do a bit of math, you're like, well, let's say
5 to 10.
Right. So you're like, everyone has like 2 parents and
And who knows how long they were there for? Because nomadic or
there could be like 100 people in that graveyard.
But the big thing is, like, back then you wouldn't leave without your supplies and your stuff.
We're gonna dig up grandma who died real long time ago,
but not take food with us.
But we're not going to take any food, and we're going to leave all of our weapons.
Well, potato.
Or they're like, we'll take grandma and we'll eat her instead of this food that we have instead.
Meat falls right off the bone.
Yeah, and that is that's real scary. That's not a nice image. So no, it could have been. But again, and going back to the concept of a sour gas well, it could have been something like a completely natural phenomenon. Where
That's just the thing too, like environmental causes that who knows about, right?
That's tough though. Like, how do you environmental cause like 25 living people and
maybe
then, like
25 cases of spontaneous
could happen, man. Well, I mean, that's just it. Like oftentimes they talk about northern lights are like methane emissions, like being ignited in the sky. If you have that right combination of like methane with like whatever else, some weird like.
Probably a twist of, you know, a tribe moving out of the area or something.
Yeah. Like exactly.
Well, like I think with a lot of religious stuff too, it's like I could understand. I know we've talked about like how tough it would be to dig in and get the grandparents out, but you can understand like people wanting to like take their dead with them, like maybe deciding whatever that they had to move on for
whatever reason.
For whatever reason,
and we're not coming back.
And it's like it's from a spiritual sense, it's like taking the family still with you, as like
the government wouldn't have given 2 shits about like the indigenous population of the territories.
25 people in that.
25 people in the territories. They're like whatever. Yeah, like you know.
And maybe that's just that could be it. You know what I mean?
They probably sent in a bunch of like World War I snipers and like
popped them all.
Pop. Is that guy from Community?
Yeah.
Pop. Just everybody's all happy to see him. He's like, I'm here to kill y'all.
Do it.
He's a sniper, but he's a fun sniper.
He's just great. He says pop.
He's very charming.
That's his thing.
That's our theory. Yeah,
sweet.
Okay, cool. Here, let me just. Oh, I meant to ask you guys. Do you guys like snuggles?
Who doesn't?
Okay.
I guess.
Snuggles? Hold on.
You're like, wait a minute.
Did you just trick me into an ad?
I think you did.
Hey guys, who likes hugs? Oh, I do.
Yeah.
Oh, I knew you'd love Hugs Automotive Parts. Albany's best moto parts store.
That would be.
Come in for a hug.
Get your engine fixed. Oh,
boom.
Well, thank you so much for hanging out.
Thank you.
You can, and this is great. We had Devin Gergel.
Yep.
And Steve, and what is this fine establishment that we're?
We are currently in the Owl.
We're in the Owl,
Yeah.
a Lethbridge staple. If you want to check out some live music and food.
Yes.
Great things in both.
If you were to sum up your menu in, let's say, without using the letter L, how would you do it?
Edible. No.
Oh my God!
Boom.
Damn you, Andrew Scott.
Scrumptious.
Scrumptious.
I had already settled on edible before you even finished the sentence.
I know.
I was just hoping you didn't pick out.
Now you're scrambling.
It's like
So was that damn L.
throwing in.
Fuck you, L.
I'm always taking the L's.
Yeah.
You can find us on Facebook, Owl Acoustic Lounge, on Facebook or Instagram at Owl Acoustic Lounge, or Twitter at Owl Acoustic.
Okay.
That's all of our social medias.
Sweet.
Well, I am still living my secret world, and this love you're giving me is tainted. You're tainted.
Another thanks again to Steve Foord and Devin Gergel. That was really fun, guys. Thanks a bunch. It was a real hoot. We will be back later on this month with an interview with Paul Franklin. We've got a backmasking special coming up and a few other things over the summer. And then we will be back with season 2 starting on September 1st. So go check out our It'sAConspiracyPodcast.com. You can also find links to our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and our Patreon account, patreon.com/It'sAConspiracy. Thanks for tuning in and take care.